for allowing creators like me to come on this place for free to broadcast in several different places at the same time. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Habs. I always like to see my have my gratitudes in first. It makes so much more sense to do it that way. All right, so the book is called As a Man Thinketh. I'm about to launch my Secrets to Living Your Best Life masterclass. It's going to be a 12-week session masterclass that I'm offering for an extremely low price. If you know me as Coach Alicia, my hourly rate is $150, but I am putting my rate really down low to make sure that people can come on. People have the opportunity to understand how they could make their best life. And so my price is going to be $297 for 12 weeks. I can't believe I'm lowering it price that low, but I wanted to be able to offer it to you guys for at a reasonable price. So, and I will take payment plans if that is the way you need to do it. But let's start reading the book As a Man Thinketh. So I have it. I'm going to move it over here so I don't look off to the side too much. So the book begins with they themselves are makers of themselves. This little volume is a result of meditation and experience and is not intended as an exhaustive treatise on the much written upon subject of the power of thought. It is suggestive rather than explanatory, its object being to stimulate men and women to the discovery and perception of the truth that they themselves are the makers of themselves by virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage. Let's read that again. I don't want to, James Allen, sorry. Well, let's read that again. And that's one sentence. Wow. It is suggestive rather than explanatory, its object being to stimulate men and women to the discovery and perception of the truth that they themselves are makers of themselves by virtues of the thought which they choose and encourage. The mind is the master weaver, both of the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance, and that, as they may have hitherto woven in ignorance and pain, they may now weave in enlightenment and happiness. James Allen. He loves to do tongue twisters. I don't know. So this is James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh. Introduction. The world is your kaleidoscope, and the varying combinations of colors which at every succeeding moment it presents to you are the exquisitely adjusted pictures of your ever moving thoughts. Most of us have heard people say, you are what you eat. Food is the fuel of our bodies, and the quality and amounts we ingest significantly affects our health and quality of life. You are what you think. Our thoughts are the fuel for our mind. Our thoughts fuel our dreams and aspirations, or they can bind us from accomplishing them. A particular train of thought persisted in, be it good or bad, cannot fail to produce its results on the character and circumstances. A man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly, yet surely, shape his circumstances. You can read this book in a few hours. Consider taking the time to fill your tank. The fuel it will provide your mind will sustain you for a lifetime and affect you, your family, and everyone who interacts with you during life. After you have read it, consider filling the tanks of others by sharing this fuel with your family, friends, and colleagues. If you prefer reading it online, consider the following version. So they have the original, the feminine, and the gender neutral second person. Okay. Thought and Character, Chapter 1. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The aphorism, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, not only embraces the whole of a man's being, but is so comprehensive as to reach out to every condition and circumstance of his life. A man literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all of his thoughts. As the plant springs from and could not be without the seed, so every active man springs from the hidden seeds of thought and could not have appeared without them. This applies equally to those acts called spontaneous or unpremeditated as to those which are deliberately executed. Act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. Thus does a man garner in the sweet and bitter fruitage of his own husbandry. So that's the garden there. Man is a growth by law and not by a creation by artifice, and the cause and effect is an absolute and undeviating in hidden realm of thought, as in the world of visible and material things. A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the natural result of the continued effort in right thinking, the effort of long cherished association with godlike thoughts. An ignoble and bestial character, by the same process, is the result of the continued harboring of groveling thoughts. Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy, strength, and peace. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. Between these two extremes are all grades of character, and man is their maker and master. Of all the beautiful truths pertaining to the soul which have been restored and brought to light in this age, none is more gladdening or fruitful of divine promise and confidence than this, that man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the Lord of his own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation and contains within himself that transforming and regenerative agency by which he may make himself what he wills. Man is always the master, even in his weakest and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation, he is foolish. He is the foolish master who misgoverns his household. When he begins to reflect upon his condition and to search diligently for the law upon which his being is established, then he becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. Such is the conscious master, and man can only become by discovering within himself the laws of thought, which discovery is totally a matter of application, self analysis, and experience. Only by much searching and mining our gold and diamonds obtained, and man can find every truth connected with his being if he will dig deep into the mine of his soul, and that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny, may he unerringly prove, if he will watch, control, and alter his thoughts, tracing their effects upon himself, upon others, and upon his life and circumstances, linking cause and effect by patient practice and investigation, and utilizing his every experience, even to the most trivial everyday occurrence, as a mean of obtaining that knowledge of himself which is understanding, wisdom, and power. In this direction, as in no other, is the law absolute, that he that seeketh findeth, and that to him that knocketh it shall be opened. For only by patience, practice, and ceaseless importunity can a man enter the door of the temple of knowledge. Now, importunity is that weird, funky word. Importunity meaning like you are so set on something, it almost is to a point of annoyance, that you are like determined, ceaseless importunity. So you've got to keep after it in order to get to that door of the temple of knowledge. So here are some highlights from chapter 1. A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. So, what do you think of yourself? How does that carry forth in the way that you carry yourself into business, into your life? Act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. So, what actions are you doing, and are they causing you joy or pain? So it says, act is the blossom of thoughts, and joy is the suffering. Joy and suffering are its fruits. Thus does a man garner in the sweet and bitter fruitage of his own husbandry. In other words, you're creating it within yourself. Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools but with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. Man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. Only by searching and mining gold and diamonds obtained, and man can find every truth connected with his being if he will dig deep into the mine of his soul. So that is chapter 1, everybody. I'm going to come back again with chapter 2. I want to do them in little sequences so that we can have them in a playlist on my YouTube page. All right, guys, thank you everybody for being here, and I will see you later. Bye.